was one thing with the last administration, and I was hoping it was a fluke and was going to stop. But, I mean, come on, folks. Every key person in the Bush administration and now in this next administration just so happen to be the sons and daughters of the founders of Israel and Mossad chiefs and people, and they're openly not even really U.S. citizens, and they openly are at the head of the table in anti-gun operations in the U.S. And I'm sick of it. I mean, Rahm Emanuel's been in the Israeli military. He gets up on news and says he's Israel first.
I speak to you today as a lifelong supporter and true friend of Israel. I'm a newcomer to politics, but not to backing the Jewish state.
And I've had enough of it. I mean, I am really getting sick of it. I am really getting tired of it. Now, I'm against Schwarzenegger being a foreigner, and he's over here anti-gun, and he also wants all these carbon taxes and the rest of it, so, you know, it's the same thing. I'm sick of it, but we don't have, you know, Austrians in every, you know, major power position. British intel's deeply infiltrated and got their people everywhere too, and that's bad. But I'm not going to. You know, it's one thing to have powerful elements of the Israeli lobby all over the Bush administration, and to have them being, you know, some of the most energetic cheerleaders for the Patriot Act and torture and police state measures and warrantless spying. That's bad. But to now have Rahm Emanuel, whose father was one of the head terrorists that founded Israel, and Rahm Emanuel himself is in the Israeli military, Israeli intelligence, dual citizen. I mean, I'd be against having the chief of staff be British and openly have worked for the British government. I would be against Arnold Schwarzenegger being in this cabinet, which they're talking about doing. It's bad. On its face, it's wrong. On its face, it stinks to high heaven. And in Haaretz, in the Jerusalem Post, in the agency French press, these are the headlines. Obama's choice for chief of staff puts Israel's man in the White House.
In spring of 2004, at the height of the violence in the Gaza Strip, I was the Grand Marshal of the 40th Salute to Israel Parade, the largest single gathering in support of the Jewish state.
And that's the headline in Israel. You know, we run the White House. We've got the White House. I mean, but then as an American citizen, I'm not supposed to mention that. I'm supposed to just sit down and shut up and go along with that.
We will move the American embassy to the eternal capital of the Jewish people, Jerusalem.
Now, to add insult to injury here, I mean, do you need to have questionable birth? Questionable birth?
I love Israel. I love Israel. I've been with Israel so long in terms of I've received some of my greatest honors from Israel. My father before me, incredible. My daughter Ivanka is about to have a beautiful Jewish baby.
Or, you know, have your lineage in this country be about a centimeter deep like Obama to be president now? Do you have to not be born here and say that you want to be a Hitler dictator to be a governor? Do you have to be an open, you know, Mossad officer like Chertoff or Mukasey or Rahm Emanuel? I mean, do you have to be a foreigner to run our government?
I will meet with Prime Minister Netanyahu immediately. I have known him for many years and will be able to work closely together. I
mean, it's not enough that Israeli government runs the company that does 98% of caller ID and phone tracking in the nation. That's been mainstream news. Is it not enough that Israel has the sole contract to, quote, guard the nuclear weapons? Our own government doesn't even have control of them? Is it not enough that Israel had fingerprints all over 9/11?
Because I backed the mission for Israel 100%.
Executive branch is nothing but a nozzle to suck up the wealth and the treasury of this country and offshore it. The Congress is completely ceremonial.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister of Israel.
start admitting that Congress has handed over its authority, was threatened with martial law when they were getting 1,000-to-1 phone calls against the banker takeover bill, and they did it because they know they're threatened with martial law, they're threatened with the media destroying them. They are ceremonial. They have been cowed. They are afraid because they know they'll be killed, they'll be set up, they'll be destroyed. They know that. This country is now under total darkness. This nation is now completely and totally under international crime syndicate control. A consortium of wicked robber barons, black nobility, that is the old royal families of Europe, intermarried and interbred with the Rothschilds.
Shit, how they go?
And the Rockefellers. I mean, go read the newspapers. That's all admitted right there. They don't even hide this stuff. And so you have Agency French Press and Jerusalem Post can run headlines with Israel's man in the White House. You go read it for yourself up on Infowars.com, PrisonButton.com. I would be against that, period. Having these people openly say, oh, I work for the Mossad. I mean, the Attorney General, Ocasio, the Homeland Security Director, Chertoff, his mother and father, both founders of Israel and Mossad. And he openly says, Israel first. And then we have Rahm Emanuel and all these other people, and they don't even care. They just say, yeah. Yeah, and we're going to take your guns. And you know what? The churches, the Zionist churches, the mainline Christians, the phony Christians. I'm a Christian. People misunderstood what I said yesterday. I said these phony Christians saying lay down, wait for the rapture.
Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you the Prime Minister of Israel, His Excellency Benjamin Netanyahu.
And do they look out for each other? Well, of course they do. They're a tribe. Don't all tribes kind of look out for each other a little bit?
Boy, that escalated quickly.